bass. Welcome to another edition of Truth and Rhythm. This is the interview show that gets deep in the pocket with contemporary music's foremost masters of the groove. I am your host, Scott Dr. GX Goldfine. If you enjoy this programming, subscribe to the Funk and Stuff channel on YouTube, which is where Truth and Rhythm lives, and be an advocate by spreading the word among fellow funk, jazz, and R&B music lovers. Join Truth and Rhythm's membership program through Patreon. You can also submit a direct donation to the cause anytime at funkandstuff.net. At that site, you can also purchase the book Everything's on the One, The First Guide of Funk. Shop for official Truth and Rhythm and Funk and Stuff merchandise, and use the Amazon links for all of your online purchases, which allocates a percentage to this show. For those of you who go the extra step in supporting the show, you have my heartfelt gratitude for allowing us to continue to shine the light on those special artists whose quest is to find truth in rhythm.
I am delighted to welcome to the Truth and Rhythm Mothership original co-founding Rufus keyboardist Kevin Murphy. He served as a cornerstone before, during, and after legendary vocalist Chaka Khan's time fronting the group. During his 1970 to 1983 tenure, the Grammy-winning Rufus scored 6 straight top 5 R&B albums, including 4 number ones in a row. The band's funk and soul classics included Tell Me Something Good, You Got the Love, Once You Get Started, Pack My Bag, Sweet Thing, Dance With Me at Midnight, Hollywood, Everlasting Love, Stay, Sharing the Love, Do You Love What You Feel, and Ain't Nobody. And ain't nobody like Kevin Murphy. Kevin, how are you?
I am good. I'm glad to be here.
So glad to have you. Thank you for doing this. Much appreciated.
No problem.
So where are you today? Where are you joining us from, Kevin?
I'm doing this from Eagle, Idaho. I live here with my son and his family. Kind of an old guy.
So how long have you been in that part of the country?
About 5 years ago. My wife passed away about 5 years ago, and my son rescued me and brought me to live with him here in Idaho.
Okay. Well, hopefully it's beautiful countryside. I've never been, so.
Oh, it's gorgeous here. I just love it.
So I'm, a huge fan, as are so many of the viewers and listeners, and been looking forward to this. And we've been communicating for a while, so I'm glad we could finally make it happen.
Me too.
So let's go way back, test your memory a little bit, Kevin. From
Good luck.
From St. Paul originally. Was your family musical? What drew you to music and why keyboards?
No, I started playing piano because my sister played piano, but I was just 3 years old, and she taught me a little song, and from that time on, I was just doing everything by ear.
Did you ever have any formal training?
I did have formal training. I took, songs that were popular songs from a lady and then from a gentleman that I took a little bit more harder music. But from that time on, I was just playing in little bands that I put together in Minneapolis, and all by ear.
Well, it's a nice gift, right?
Yeah, I didn't know it then, but I guess I was doing pretty good. I played until I was about 19 years old, and then I got a gig with a band that was doing the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars. And I went to work for Dick for 3 years. I was his MC for the shows and then stage manager. Plus, I had the band. I did about everything for him.
Wow. So, was that during the time of the Circus, or was that before that, or?
That was before the Circus. Yeah. Then the group that evolved into the Circus. They were called the Executives at the time. They came to a club that I was playing in Minneapolis, and they asked me if I would come to Chicago and join their band, and that's what I did. I came to Chicago, and they bought an organ for me because I had a B3, and it was just too much to haul, so they bought a smaller organ, and I didn't like that too much. I went back to my B3. And I played with them for a while. I don't know if you know Mike Sistak and the Mob. Remember the Mob? The band,
right.
The Mob. Yeah, Mike Sistak was the guitar player in the band that I went to Chicago to join. And then I just got with other bands, played around Rush Street for several years. And then...
Kevin, who were a couple of your biggest influences, on keys and just music overall when you were first coming up?
Well, when I first got coming up, Jimmy Smith and Jack McDuff, those guys were my biggest influences. Other than that, I was just doing my own stuff.
And were you already, dabbling in composing then and that kind of thing, or did that come later?
Yeah, I was writing silly little songs, before I even left Minneapolis. But, I was just writing songs. I actually didn't put it together with performing them live or, I just had little songs that I wrote. And then as time went on, I kept writing.
Kevin, when you were with the Circus, did you open up for any big bands that were known at the time?
No, not that I remember. You played around the clubs around Chicago and the Illinois area, Wisconsin and the Midwest until I got with the Dick Clark band, and then. It's just on from there. I got with the American Breed, Bend Me, Shape Me.
Right.
And I played with them for a couple of years, and then I wanted to leave the band. And when I told them that I was leaving, everybody else wanted to leave with me. So the whole band, except for one guy, Gary Loizo, they left the band, and we just became, Ask Rufus.
So you came onto American Breed. They had already had the hit, right? So, but did you do any recordings with them, or only live shows?
No, I didn't. I didn't record anything with the American Breed.
Mm-hmm.
Just played with them like a sideman.
So what were the, early Ask Rufus rehearsals and sound of the group and that kind of thing? What was it like at that point?
At that point, when I left the American Breed, Paulette McWilliams was a singer in the band, and she came with us. Do you know Paulette McWilliams?
Yeah, I know that she was the precursor to Shaka.
Right. Shaka was her best friend, and she wanted to leave the group that evolved from the American Breed and do some, solo stuff. And she put Shaka with us. And geez, I was just so enamored with Shaka that I called Bob Monaco and told him about her, and he came out and saw us, and he was with ABC Records, and he went back and got a little money for us to do a demo, and they liked what we were doing, so we signed with ABC. It was just that easy, that fast.
Wow. Now, just before that, though, the group did put out a single, right? A Brand New Day and Read All About It.
Yeah, we did. That was to Read All About It. That was one of my silly tunes. And Brand New Day, I think we got that off a demo. But I got a little bit of play. It really didn't go anywhere.
Well, what would you say at that point? I mean, what were the like aspirations and ambitions of the group, right before or as Shaka came into the picture?
We were just playing clubs. We were kind of a Midwest a group that played clubs and made our money that way. We wanted to get a deal, but things weren't moving real steadily with us until Shaka got with the group. And when we got Bob Monaco to produce a little demo for us, that's when things started. When Shaka got with the group, people were very impressed with Shaka, and she was just like 18, 19 years old at the time, very young kid.
Yeah, I heard she was a little rough around the edges, and
yeah, she sure was. Yep. Yeah, but that's how things start. She was very rough around the edges, but boy, she had talent, and people would listen to her, and they could see that she had talent. And on that first record we did, we had a little tune called "Whoever's Thrilling You Is Killing Me," and that got play around, on the R&B stations around the East Coast, and that set us up to do our second record, "Rags to Rufus," and it went from there.
Let me just say that first record, Kevin, it so happens as we're recording this, I guess it had its 50th anniversary this past week, if you can believe that.
Yes, just a couple of days ago it was. I was looking on my phone. I'm sorry. And I happened to see that. I was just really stoked. 50 years, holy crying out. And I had already worked for 20, 30 years before we got that record.
Wow. So, and that record, of course, had the amazing cover of Stevie Wonder's "Maybe Your Baby."
Yeah, that's it, right?
What do you remember, if anything, about just being in the studio with those guys and with Shaka, like in those early days?
Well, it was it was kind of just do what we could. We didn't have much rhyme or reason about anything we were doing, and we did a "Maybe Your Baby," a Stevie Wonder song. We did a medley, and Stevie really liked that song. And then when we were in the studio doing our next album, he came in the studio with his whole entourage. And we didn't know he was coming or anything. And he sat down in my clavinet with Chaka Khan sitting next to him and started playing these changes that became "Tell Me Something Good." And he and Shaka actually wrote that song. I don't know if Shaka ever got any due for it, but and from that time on, it was just we got popular.
I had heard, Kevin, that initially the group kind of thought it was a goof, kind of doing that track with the breathing and all that. Is that true?
Yeah.
Or did you...
Yeah. How that went down was that Stevie and Shaka were at my clavinet, and they were going through this thing. And every time the chorus came by, we were all in the control room. And when that chorus came by, all the guys in the band would go, "Tell me something good." And that's how it came down. It just sort of fell together with the breathing and grunting and all that stuff. And it was just a kind of a goof, but it was a real catchy tune. And they just put that out as a single.
How did you feel when you first heard a song that you were part of on the radio?
I dreamt about that for years before it happened, about how I would really, freak out if I heard a song of ours that was on the radio being played in rotation and actually being part of what was happening. When I first heard it, I don't even remember when it was, but I was very happy. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so life changed seemingly overnight, I'm guessing, after plugging away for so many years.
That is correct. Yeah, I was married. I got married in '65, and my wife had polio when she was a kid. She was kind of sickly, and so I was, I had my hands full with her, and then I would be on the road, and kind of got a little crazy there. And when she died, I went a little nuts. I wound up in the hospital, and I just kind of lost everything. I lost my mind, as you might be able to tell. But,
when did that happen?
that happened in 2016.
Oh, okay. Well, my sympathies, Kevin.
Oh, thank you very much. I didn't even want to talk about that. But I feel I owed you an explanation for my my hesitation here.
So back to Rags to Rufus era. So those first two records, was a different lineup for the most part, and you kind of had a rockier edge, especially with songs like "You Got the Love" and with Ray Barker Jr. on there, and
exactly.
Yeah. So at that point, it seemed a little more similar to what would become like a Mother's Finest or Maxan, just sort of a more rock oriented group with a great, powerful vocalist up front. So, why did things change so much from Rags to Rufus to Rufus-ized?
Well, those guys, they were not happy with where the music was going. It was getting a little funkier, a little more R&B. And the record company wanted us to go in that direction. They just did not like that, so they up and quit. And we ran into Bobby and Tony at a club, Maverick's Flat. If you know what that club is.
Yeah, in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, and we met Bobby and Tony there, and asked them if they were up for joining the band, and they had just seen us play, and they said yeah. So we came in and went into rehearsal, and they just, the band just took off from there. It was really, a great band at that time. Andre Fisher was our drummer.
Yeah, I was about to just say, I think, so you and Andre were the only holdovers, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So when you were in the studio back then and these songs were coming together, still kind of with the, Rags to Rufus and earlier stuff,
right.
How did you shape your keyboard playing and your keyboard parts? What did you bring to those sessions, Kevin?
It was all just jamming, I didn't sit down and figure out, anything specific to play. We would just jam these tracks, and Shaka would sing, and it was more or less just that's the way it fell together. No rhyme or reason.
So, did you kind of come up with arrangements yourself, or how was that kind of stuff handled?
Well, yeah, the group came up there with the arrangements. I would come up with string parts or horn parts, or and do my rhythmic things on the clavinet, and never really any specific thought behind it. Mostly just jamming away. And that's it. I can't say anything else. It was just Bob would mix the record, and we'd all sit in the studio, and it just came together. It was more magic than anything else.
How'd you feel about? I know with that, once "Tell Me Something Good" hit, you guys were all over TV. How'd you feel about being on TV shows and and being in the spotlight like that?
I just felt as though we had made it to that degree. That was what we all wanted to do. And Dick Clark would have us on his American Bandstand, and all the other midnight specials and all those other ones. Just because we were a charted group and getting radio play, that they would put us together. Our management would take care of most of that.
In Chicago in those early days, were you kind of crossing paths with like a Earth, Wind and Fire, Maurice White, or a Rotary connection, or?
But yeah, the Rotary connection we would cross paths with. Earth, Wind and Fire, not so much. But we left Chicago and moved to L.A. Shortly after the second record was released, and and mostly Fitzgerald and Hartley was our management. I was busy with my wife, taking care of my wife, so I didn't have much to do with that.
Hmm. So with the change in personnel for Rufusized, do you remember anything about that record in particular, about, once you get started, or Pack My Bags, or any of the tracks?
No, not specifically. I'm sorry.
Well, how would you say that the chemistry of the band changed?
To me, it wasn't much. Honestly, I was more on my own than anything else. The chemistry of the band was not something that I worried about. I got along with everybody.
Bobby and Tony, I mean, they were tremendous. Also, I think they played with, was it Billy Preston? I'm trying to. Yeah.
Right. They played with Billy Preston, and
so the momentum kept going, and the hits kept rolling, right?
Yeah.
And it looked like on a lot of these covers, like you guys were having a really good time, at least in the photo shoots. A lot of smiling and laughing.
Yeah, well, yeah, we were, good time band, and we got along good, and having fun doing playing music. It was, maybe that was our charm. We just got along good together.
What could you tell people about what the stage show was like, peak Rufus in the mid-'70s?
Well, we just played. It wasn't, we didn't do any rehearsal as far as, dance routines or anything like that. Tony was just a natural at dancing, the most fantastic guitar player of all time, in my opinion, and the nicest guy on the planet. We became real close, those two. And he was a guy that took the lead. A lot of what he did, we followed. Have you talked to Tony? You should talk to Tony.
I was just going to tell you that I spoke with him at length. We had a great phone call several weeks ago, and he was going to be coming on. I haven't done it yet, but it was a good first step. The conversation we had was really good. So,
you can get a lot from him.
Yeah, I mean, he had a rough accident, I guess, a couple of years ago. So
Oh,
he's been trying to.
terrible thing.
Yeah. But
Right. And then we got guys like John Robinson. I mean, he's like the Rock of Gibraltar, and we just became a good band. Rolling Stone. They put out the 500 best bands of all time. We came in at 499, but at least we were amongst them,
Well, I mean, I'm glad you pointed that out, Kevin, because I think that some folks maybe underestimate what a great band it was because Shaka was so prominent and got so much acclaim and attention. But the band kicked ass too, right?
Yeah, right. We have our people that espouse our, the group. But what can I say? It was just how it happened.
Do you remember, like any? I know things are kind of hazy, but do you remember any like big shows in particular? Like any, I don't know, something happened, Shaka fell off stage, or maybe it was a big stadium or something like that. Anything stick out from those shows?
Well, I remember big shows. We never had any real bad accidents or anything. I don't remember Shaka. She did fall down a couple of times, but nothing that stopped the show. She was always, did her part. She would get a little whacked out after the shows and stuff. And on the bus, she would have her goodies. And in the restaurants and stuff, when we stopped the bus, she would be. Chaka Khan is a huge talent, and she's doing well today.
Oh, it's so fantastic to see how she's still, carrying that torch, and she still sounds good, and she looks good, and
yeah, and she's doing just great, better than she'd ever done.
And finally going, well, I don't know how you feel about this. I have mixed feelings about it. She's finally going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but they didn't include Rufus.
Yeah, I know. That's something I just don't understand. Maybe we didn't have enough PR for the band, and she got most of it. But we do have our fans that are adamant about that we should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I agree with that. I'm upset that we didn't get put in, but maybe somewhere down the road. Who knows? I'm just glad we were 499.
Yes, sneaked in, under the wire. But yeah. Well, I mean, we're doing something like this, Kevin, to help keep the visibility of the band high, and get it the attention it deserves. Aside from Shaka, so.
Oh boy, I tell you what, we sure appreciate that. Thank you so much, Scott.
I want to mention the my personal favorite of all the Rufus albums is just the Rufus featuring Chaka Khan with "Sweet Thing" on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, front to back, that record was just so consistent and so strong.
Right. Yeah. What can I say?
David Aquawolinsky came into the picture shortly after that. So how did he come into the band?
Well, I had to cover a lot of stuff. There was a lot of horns and strings and a lot of stuff that I couldn't do. I'm a keyboard player. I would play, and I had known Hawk for a long time. He was a buddy of mine. He'd come see me play all the time. I could kick pedals, and we didn't need a bass player in the early days and that sort of stuff. He was very impressed with it, and I just got him in the band. I figured we needed more, music, and that kid is just unbelievable player. He is, and a great writer. I mean, ain't nobody. He's just a huge hit. He's a great guy too. He's a crazy little guy. He's my buddy.
What would you say about his style is different from yours?
He's I suppose he's a little jazzy. He's he can solo. He's a great soloist, and he doesn't overplay. He's a guy that knows where to fill in and what to play. And I mean, he's just a player, in my opinion.
Yeah, it really stands out, especially like you said, is his composing. He's done some great work there, and I think arranging too.
Oh yeah, he's great at that. He's a wonderful, terrific, great musician. It's funny. Last night I think I was watching Gail Chapman with your interview with her, and I got a kick out of how she mentioned Rufus and Shaka, and that she liked the way I played clavinet.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it comes sometimes from the most unexpected places, right?
Yeah, I just met her last Sunday through a music store owner here in town who knows her. She lives not too far. I'm going to take her out to dinner. I like her a lot.
So you're not the only one out there in Idaho, huh?
No, that's right. She's a sweetheart. I'm sure you'd like her.
Well, so Kevin, the Ask Rufus, I know another great album, and I got to tell you, right around that time, I saw the group play at the Roxy in Hollywood, and phenomenal show. I was sitting up close in one of those tables off the stage, and Chaka Khan, it's like a 300-seat venue for those who don't know, and so very intimate. And man, when she opened her throat and belted it out, I mean, she blew the roof off that place.
Yeah, she is. She's an instrument in herself. And, she's not just a singer; she's a complete band.
And I also have to tell you that they served food there, and during the show, she walked out on the tabletops because the table's connected to the stage, and she ate one of my fries during the show.
That sounds like Shaka. That's great. Pretty funny, Scott. Yeah, you're lucky. You got Shaka to eat one of your fries. That's fabulous.
And I also remember throughout the set, she kept sort of complaining to the lighting guy that the light was bothering her eyes.
Yeah. It sounds like Shaka.
Temperamental, right? But I also heard this. See what your feedback is on this, Kevin. That sometimes the group might have one thing in mind in terms of a track or how to do it, and she would lay down her vocal, and it would be so interesting or different that the band would sort of go along with that and conform to where she took it.
That's absolutely true. But it's a good thing that happened like that, because it made our music just that much better. We knew where to go.
I also heard that with this Ask Rufus, that it created a little bit of friction in the group because of the artwork with her being, giant and the band being small and all that sort of stuff.
That was a little bit. What can you say? That was all politics, record company politics, and it was during the time they were trying to get her to go solo, which they finally did. And that's all part of show business there, I guess.
Were you privy at all, or were you present when that incident happened with Andre?
Yes, I was. Yeah, I was not in the room, but I was there at the studio. Yeah, that was not a fun happening, and that was when we had to fire Andre.
Did you feel like at the time it was going to go that way, or did you think it just kind of escalated after?
Well, truth be told, Andre was maybe pushing his weight around a little bit, and without getting too specific, he had a little bit of problem with Shaka's husband, and it got a little physical. There was Shaka hit him with a champagne bottle or something like that, and he wound up leaving. And at that point on, he had to leave.
I had heard that Shaka wanted him fired, basically. I think that's, so I was just curious if the band, you felt like you were kind of caught in the middle, I'm guessing, right?
Well, no, we all felt that way,
So out of that came Street Player and Stay. What a great track that is.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it put Tony out there some with the vocals.
Yep. Yeah. Boy could sing.
Also great about Rufus, and another reason why you guys should get the notoriety is because you included instrumentals, all the time.
Right, we would do that. We got a lot of jazz radio play doing that stuff. It was all just we'd jam a track and put it on the record. We'd always have an instrumental. No big story behind that.
Yeah, but it was one of the elements that differentiated you and made you unique. Besides Shaka and everything else.
Yeah, maybe so.
Did you feel any pressure, or you think the band felt pressure? Was there pressure from the label at all to, do anything like disco during that disco craze period, which is when this came out?
No, not so much. I don't think so. Shaka would just not do that. I think they realized that. At least I didn't feel that way.
I was very thankful that it didn't happen.
Yeah. It might have hurt us instead of help us. I think the stuff that we did got its own, its own due.
You guys ended up having your own niche for sure. You had R&B with a little bit of tinge of jazz, a little tinge of rock, and
yeah, that's right.
A pop sensibility,
Yeah, that is correct. I think that had to do with everybody's, musical history, the way it mixed.
How did the Quincy Jones connection happen?
That was, I can't remember. I think that was through the record company, and Quincy actually wanted to produce us. I was okay with that.
Yeah, if the band's going to give up the production, what better than give it to an icon like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it couldn't hurt.
Do you remember how it was different at all doing that record? Because it definitely, obviously, had a different sound from what came before with the Quincy Jones touch.
No, nothing that stands out. It was, we did it the way we always did it. We'd lay the tracks down, and the Shaka would come in and sing, and it just with Quincy's sensibilities, it all came together.
It was around that time too. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I was busy taking care of my wife pretty much at that time. So
it was also right around that time when Rufus put out its first album without Shaka, Numbers.
Right.
What was the thinking doing that?
We did it the same way as anything else. We'd lay the tracks down and mix them up, you put vocals on them, but yeah, that wasn't real successful. Our solo albums. I don't think the record companies, were behind them that much.
Yeah, but you guys did 3 of them. Did you think or hope that you would, succeed without Shaka, or was it just another creative outlet?
Another creative outlet. As far as I was concerned, I didn't see anybody in the group aside from Tony that could handle the vocals, and it was nothing real special about what we did on those 3 records. They were good, but there was really no support, record company support. At that time in my life, I really didn't have much input.
I have to say, though, on that Numbers record, I really liked that one track, Pleasure Dome. I don't know if you remember that one, but I always thought that should have been a hit.
Yeah. If not for the way things went down, things happen that way.
I would be really curious, to just have heard Shaka go back and add vocals to some of those tracks you guys did on just the Rufus albums and see.
Oh God, I never heard that idea, but that is a fabulous idea. What that'd be like.
Resurrect some of those songs and get her on them. Yeah.
Oh God. Huh. That's a great idea, Scott.
I get one every once in a blue moon.
No.
And then there was just the one more studio record, Camouflage, with Shaka, and that didn't do quite as well as the other ones did. I'm guessing that maybe was there a little, by then I think I had heard, correct me if I'm wrong, that really Shaka was just kind of coming in, and the band was coming in, and you guys weren't even really seeing each other that much or interacting that much.
Yeah, that is true. Unfortunately, that shit happens when a group just kind of lost its steam.
Were there any other?
For myself, I was busy with my own problems.
Yeah, were the band members understanding of what you were going through?
Yeah, I'm sure they were. It was never an issue, but they got along without me.
Now, we didn't mention him, I don't think, but I heard great things about Al Siner from back in the early days.
Yeah, Al was, he was an American Breed. He was one of the early guys in American Breed, and he was one of the guys that quit the Breed, came along with what I was going to do. And what I was going to do is what we did. But, with Bob Monaco's input, and the record company did put a little bit behind us. And it was just Chaka Khan. What can I say?
How'd you feel about that sort of reunion for that live record that had the Ain't Nobody on it?
Oh, yeah, that was a great record. It's my favorite Rufus record, and it's just stomping at the Savoy, right?
Right.
Yeah. No, I loved that record. It's just our live show, and the bus studio from Montreal or someplace like that. That was a great record. Bunch of our old songs.
Yeah, I really.
But that was.
It was good. It was good from a fan perspective after Camouflage fizzled and the group ended like it did, to have sort of that epitaph, of this great live.
Exactly.
And the really great song,
Right. Right. Exactly right. we're still getting a lot of radio play. I hear our tunes all the time, so it's not like we're dead and gone. They resurrect us every once in a while.
Oh, they're classics, and some of them have been remade several times too.
Yeah, I know. Maybe we'll live on in other people's productions of our old stuff.
I do got to mention, Kevin, that I noticed that last Rufus Alone album, Seal in Red from '83, was produced by none other than George Duke.
Yeah, it was. That was amazing. We did that all in his house, at his studio in his house. Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a fun time. I mean, I've heard only good things about working with George Duke.
Yeah, he was a special guy. It's too bad that he's not still with us.
What did you do once Rufus disbanded musically? Did you do any like local performing, or did you hunker down and write your own music? What did you do?
Yeah, I kept writing my own music, and I got into doing voiceovers and in that stream, doing commercials and that sort of thing. I didn't play with anybody. I think my career in playing in a band was over by that time. My wife got real sick, and I was otherwise, had things to do.
Well, what do you think allowed you? What do you think allowed you to be sort of the sole survivor from the first to the last records for Rufus?
I had something to do with the politics of the band, and working with Bob Monaco. Bob Monaco and I were pretty good friends, and we just sort of took the reins and did the politics of the group. I was kind of the leader of the band. They wouldn't do anything without my input on it. But I don't know why they did that. They just wanted my input all the time, I guess.
Well, you had seniority at some point.
Maybe that was the deal. I'm just the old man.
I remember as a fan, though, I always, put a magnifying glass on the liner notes and checked out all the things on every record. But, seeing, wow, Kevin, there's some changes with this group, but Kevin Murphy, he's still there. He's still there.
Yeah. Right. Well, I was kind of guiding it, I guess, through all that crap. But, I don't want to take too much credit for the success of the band, because the success came, just in everybody's talent and Chaka Khan, and I don't know what to say about that.
What album do you think is the crowning achievement for the group?
The crowning achievement?
Yeah.
For me, it was, Stomping at the Savoy, to me, was the best record we ever did. It was live. It was, had soul. It was just the best to me. And the second record,
Rags to Rufus,
was the one. Rags to Rufus, yeah, that was the one that really kind of got us started, and I loved that record. But all the other ones were good. They had good tunes on them, but I don't think they were that brilliant. They were just likable records.
What was there any of those songs in particular that was real challenging for you to play, that you'd be like, oh, this one's kind of a pain?
No, not that I have to say. I just play what I play.
Now, did you have perfect pitch? I know you said you could play by ear.
I had pretty good pitch. I don't know if it was perfect, but I got along. I
Yeah.
know some people, some musicians just have a hell of a time if they don't have some sort of pitch recognition.
How closely did you follow, what happened with your bandmates and Shaka's career after it disbanded?
I did not follow it. I moved back to St. Paul, and I got with a little band, that 12-year-old girl. Oh, Shannon Kerfman. Are you familiar with Shannon Kerfman?
I am not.
Yeah, she's very well known in Minneapolis and St. Paul, or in the Midwest. Shannon was just she was a 12-year-old girl who got a little recognition around the Fargo Moorhead area where she's from, and she got a manager out of Minneapolis that just kept her working. We went to Japan and everything. She's got her following around there. She she plays guitar and sings. It's just one of those deals where there was a young girl that could really sing, and the people really liked us. We had a great time, and I think, to me, because the pressure was off, they liked me because I was with Rufus, and I stayed with her for about 3 years. They fired a whole bunch of other people, but they always wanted me around, so I had a great time with them.
Did you?
That's the last time I actually played. Huh?
Did you slip in any Rufus covers during that?
Yeah, she did. She did tell me something good, sweet thing, out of deference to me. But she had a couple albums of her own, but they weren't stellar. She's a sweetheart. Her mom, Mary, was her road manager, and she was a sweetheart. We kind of became a family. It was like she was my little sister. Mary was like my, cousin or something.
You're hanging around St. Paul again. Did you ever cross paths with Prince?
No. Well, actually, only when Shaka would play with him. I go see Shaka, and I'd sit with Prince and his entourage and all that. But I never really did, rubbed elbows too much with him.
Now, did you ever
I was
reunite?
kind of an independent guy. Say again?
Did you ever reunite again with Shaka or any of the band?
No, I didn't. No.
I heard that it was real close to having a reunion at some point. Were you included in that conversation, or?
Yeah, I was, but I was not active in its procedure. We're talking now. Hawk and I have talked about it. Just getting together, just a reunion of people, not so much to talk about the band or anything, just to see it, touch base and see what would happen if enough water's down to the bridge. Because there's been some bad feelings amongst some things that have happened in the group, but outside of the music end of it. But that's something we don't want to, publicize.
Yeah, wasn't it? Was it 9/11 that kind of sidelined the reunion?
It might have been.
Yeah.
At that time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame. That would have been something special for sure. But
Yeah.
still so glad that you can share these stories with us, even if the memory's a little fuzzy at times. It's still great, So
Well, Scott, in September I will be 80 years old, and the death of my wife kind of took me and just shook me. I'm just now coming out of it. I'm starting to play and write again. I haven't played, out with anybody since 2016 when she passed away. My life just stopped when I was married for 51 years.
Wow.
And,
wow.
And her condition was always first and foremost in my mind. And I think I just got sidetracked with that stuff.
Yeah. Well,
But
that
I love
explains a
being
lot too.
musician. Say again?
I was going to say that explains a lot too, because I first reached out to you probably around 2017. So you were, just still dealing with that. I had no idea. So.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I was a wacky guy in 2017.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with me, and glad that you're, coming out of it. And if you get your fingers back on some keys, that's good for everybody.
Yeah, I'll let you know if I ever get involved in anything. But I think it's over for me. Being 80 years old. I don't look 80. I don't feel 80. My mind is still back in the road days and the music. But who knows? Maybe I'll be the geezer sensation.
Again, thank you so much for doing this. Stay in good health and good spirits. And I will let you know when this is going to post, and you can listen, watch, share it, all that good stuff.
Well, I'm grateful to you, Scott. Thank you so much for talking to me and giving me something to say.
My pleasure. You take care of yourself, Kevin.
All right.
Okay.
All right, bud. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Truth in Rhythm. A big thank you goes out to our guest as well as to you, the viewer and listener. Also, much gratitude to Pleasure for supplying the show's funky opening and closing music. As a reminder, you can always access the complete list of linked shows by episode at funkandstuff.net. I urge you to support this program and receive the extra benefits along with that by subscribing to the Funk and Stuff channel on YouTube and sharing it with funk, R&B, and jazz lovers, joining Truth and Rhythm's membership program at Patreon, submitting a donation at funkandstuff.net, buying Everything is on the One, the First Guide to Funk book at Amazon, shopping at the Funky Things store for cool merchandise at funkandstuff.net, and linking through funkandstuff.net for all of your Amazon purchases. In addition, if you're an artist or anyone seeking proven, results-oriented professional marketing, PR, writing, or editing consultation or production, check out the media services section at funkandstuff.net. Also, I encourage you to drop me a line at scottg@funkandstuff.net. I love the feedback, suggestions, guest requests, appearance and sponsorship inquiries, and just talking about my favorite subject, groove-based music. For now, and as always, this is Scott Dr. GX Goldfine saying, keep on vibing to the rhythm of the one.